Welcome to another episode of Earth is Our Home with Dr. Thomas Blaine. Dr. Thomas Blaine is going to talk about the upcoming eclipse and some really good information about that eclipse that will be occurring. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Earth is Our Home with Dr. Thomas Blaine. Dr. Thomas Blaine is an associate professor with the Ohio State University Extension Program. Tom, it sounds like we have a really good topic that you want to discuss today.
We are so lucky in Ohio. Let me ask you a question, a personal question.
Sure.
Have you ever seen a total eclipse?
Only on TV and pictures of it.
That means no. You've
No.
never seen one.
That's right.
I've seen one. And Earth is our home. What a time for this. They're very rare. We live in Ohio, right? I don't even know when the last time a total eclipse came through Ohio. This one's going all across the USA. We're going to show the route. It's a year away from now, but it's not too early. This will be, if you participate in it, one of the most meaningful experiences in your life. You can read about total eclipses. You can see them on the videos people make, but unless you've experienced one, you're missing something that you don't want to miss in this trip called life. So today I'm going to talk all about it to get you ready, because we need that time to get ready. So let's get right into it. Here we are in April of 23. Yes, a total solar eclipse. Now, there are partial eclipses often in places. It's not the same. There's all the difference in the world. When you get a total eclipse, partiality starts first before the moon covers the sun. So you're going to get the partial also. But this is the first episode we're going to do in this. We're going to go throughout the year. I'm going to give you updates, because you're going to need that time to prepare for it. There's safety information I got to give you, and logistical information I have to give you. Here's the path, Patrick. The eclipse will start out over the Pacific Ocean. If you want to see globally, look at the globe on the right side of the screen. It's been put out there in the Atlantic Ocean, and you can see the entire path. Or if you want to look at the close-up of North America, you'll see it starts in the Pacific Ocean, but comes on shore in Mexico, goes all the way across Mexico, all the way across Texas, Arkansas, and boom, look at Ohio. All the way from just north of Cincinnati, counties like Preble, Mercer, those will come across. Over half of Ohio counties will be in totality. And it will exit North America in the Canadian Maritimes. The shadow averages moving across the planet at about 1,500 miles an hour. Here is a close-up of Ohio. Again, lower right, you see the world. Look at the close-up of Ohio. Now, the center line of totality, the closer you get to center line, the longer the eclipse totality lasts. So if you look, for example, at Worcester, there in kind of northeast central Ohio, that's where I live. I'm in totality. But if you drive just a little ways over to Canton, it's 98 to 99% in Canton. But let me tell you, there's a lot of difference in that 1%. If you drive west of Canton over to just Massillon, you get 30 seconds of totality. By the time you get to Worcester, we get a little over 2 minutes. And the max on this eclipse is about 3 minutes and 50 seconds of totality near the center line. Here's another map, and this one is the one you got to make friends with. I'm going to give you the web address because this one is interactive. It's interactive. So look at the pink in the middle. That's where it's total. And then the amount of partiality is in different colors as it extends out. So let's say you want to know about Worcester. You bring this up, Patrick, and then you click. You click on the map. I clicked on Worcester. Look here. That's my hometown. We have the duration of the entire thing, the partiality and everything in Worcester. 100% coverage of the sun comes later, but the whole eclipse is 2 hours and 30 minutes. Totality begins at 3:13 and 39 seconds p.m. You talk about a lot of detailed information, okay? And then down there near the bottom is the buzzkill. This stays cloudy 69% of the time, okay, since 2000. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is an interactive map. So I zoomed in to show another place, Lima. Lima is very close to the center line. And I want you to learn to use this website. Here at Lima, the totality is 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Look at that second line there. 3 minutes, 52 seconds. So you get about an hour, about a minute. I'm sorry, you get about a minute and a half longer because you're there near the center line. You see that center line and you see on there the place is closer. I'm in Worcester. I could go up toward Mansfield or Elyria or somewhere like that if I wanted to experience a little bit longer, you know, totality. Here's the website you need. Use this website. Make friends with this website. When you bring this website up, you will get that colorful map I showed. Okay, you can just Google in eclipse path of total solar eclipse like that. You can Google that in, or you can go ahead and type in that web address and bookmark it. Anyway, here's with counties, over half of counties will experience totality. Again, the red lines at the edge are totality. The blue line is the center line. That's where it's longest. If you look way down in Portsmouth, that's about as far as you get from totality. And yet Portsmouth is going to get 95% covered. The sun's going to be 95. That's the lowest in Ohio. So Ohio's really getting a treat here. In other words, there's no place in Ohio with less than about 95% of the sun being covered. But if you want to be there where it turns dark as night at 3 in the afternoon, you've got to be in totality, even with 96 or 97 or 98%. Even that little bit of sunlight changes everything. But partial eclipses are cool too. Now, the total eclipse is a worldwide event. And so one of the things I want to emphasize here as we go through this on Earth is Our Home, people will be converging on Ohio from all over the world. If you think, oh, we'll get in the car today and go drive over to where it's totality. No, don't think like that. I don't know how many people are going to be converging on Ohio, but there will be people here from all over the world. Okay. The impact of these people will be enormous. Somebody ought to do a study. I think Ohio State University Extension or some economics department should do a study, because this is going to pump a lot of money into the economy of Ohio. If you live in Germany France, Japan, Korea, Australia, and you've never seen a total eclipse. There are people right now making plans, getting plane tickets and all that stuff to come here. Because again, these are rare events. You know, Patrick, there you are. You've never seen one. I'm getting up in age and I've only seen one, and I'm going to go through that now. August of 2017, here was the eclipse path. Here was the eclipse path, right through southern Kentucky. It came on shore, the shadow did, in Oregon, moved all the way across Wyoming, the Great Plains, down into Illinois, Missouri, southern Kentucky, and then out. That eclipse was a little bit shorter. I went to a little town called Franklin, Kentucky, from Worcester to see this. So I wasn't the only one that traveled a long way. If you look at this road map, and if you look right there, and Patrick, if you can help me with this, go down near the middle, down south of Bowling Green, the little town of Franklin. I picked that out 6 months before from way up here in Worcester, which isn't even on the map. I studied hard and I said, I'm going to Franklin, Kentucky. It's a little town, got a beautiful city park with open areas where you can really experience the eclipse. I drove there. I picked up the phone. April, this was in August. I picked up the phone in April, called Franklin, tried to get a hotel reservation. They said, you know, we're sorry, sir. And I said, well, let's call Bowling Green. I'll just drive on down. The next day I'll have brunch. I didn't want to see it from Bowling Green. It's like 30 seconds of totality, but I'll drive on down. Bowling Green, booked up. Bowling Green, Kentucky, booked up. I kept calling, look north of there on I-65 between Louisville and the totality at the town of Elizabethtown. I'm from Kentucky. We used to play E-Town in basketball. Called, got a hotel. They said, you got our last room in April for an August total eclipse. Downtown E-Town. I got in the car the day before, drove down, had dinner in Louisville, went on down to E-Town. There you go, about 70 miles away. So that shows you that other people are going to be planning ahead to have to be 70 miles from Franklin, Kentucky to get a place to stay. But other people don't plan ahead. So Patrick, here I come walking into the lobby. I couldn't even hardly get my car into the parking lot because there were cars everywhere. It was a mess about 10 o'clock at night. And I go into the lobby and there's about 20 people in there screaming at the clerk about they want a room. And the clerk is saying, we're sorry, we're sold out. I say, excuse me, and kind of went through everybody, got my key and kind of went like this, you know, with my key as I was walking out. They're like, who's he, your cousin? They say he made a reservation in April. I said, good night. I don't know where these folks slept. Okay. But I'm telling you, I'm trying to prepare you. I'm saying this to prepare you.
You know, the map showed going all the way around through United States. And you had mentioned something about the cloud cover. Since it's going from Texas all the way up through Ohio, etc., will people sort of gravitate towards those places that have less clouds?
If I were an Australian or a German or Danish or Japanese, New Zealand, Brazilian, and wanting to come to the USA to see this eclipse, Ohio would not be my choice. It would not. You're right. Texas has a higher rate of sunny weather, but it's still April, and I've lived in Texas. And April showers bring May flowers is a valid statement even in Texas. We just don't know yet. But yes, that one website will tell you when you go on to click with your button, the percentage of days that are cloudy in that area. But you're right. I don't expect Ohio will be the number one destination at all. Nevertheless, a lot of people are going to know that. People are going to realize, man, everybody's going to be converging on Texas and Arkansas and stuff. I'm going to outsmart them. And if a lot of people do that and say they're going to go a little further north and take their chances, that means we're going to get hit really hard. Now, what happens before the eclipse is the traffic's not that bad. When I got up the next morning, everybody was gone. I slept in because the eclipse wasn't until the afternoon. And I don't know if these people slept in their car or, on the side of the road. I don't know what they did. But by the time I got up, the parking lot was empty. Everybody was gone. I had brunch, got my coffee, and started driving south from Elizabethtown to Franklin, where I knew I was headed. People trickle in, though, like that. See, some people had come earlier. During the day, it wasn't. I got down about 30 miles away and the traffic stopped. And I'm like, oh, no, if I don't make it, it's going to be horrible. You know what I'm saying? But it kept flowing because people trickle in. Okay. The traffic problem is at the end, because as charming as these towns are along the path of the eclipse, nobody that I know wants to be in Franklin, Kentucky, or any of these towns, Worcester or anywhere else, once there's no eclipse. They could be anywhere. It's like the folks that do this and come these distances, they don't want to stick around. And what that means is the interstate turns into a parking lot. And that's what you see. So when I left the city park and got on the little 2-lane road, as I approached the interstate, I could see both lanes were not only bumper to bumper, but they were stopped. And I wasn't about to get on there. I mean, in my view, it would have been foolish. I crossed on over on the country road. And I know how I didn't have GPS or anything, but I knew the directions. And I felt like, the bluegrass state's gorgeous. It was a gorgeous day. I'm like, I'm just going to drive back roads. I'm sorry. I'm going to drive back roads as far as I need to drive. Well, so there I saw that and I went on, and it was a beautiful day. And I was basking in the afterglow of having seen the eclipse. But after a while on the back roads, other people had figured out what I figured out. It took me almost 7 hours to drive to Bardstown. There was no way I was going to get home that night. I got into Bardstown, where that's my old Kentucky home. And it's only about 30 miles or so from Elizabethtown, the place I'd stayed going down. I didn't have reservations this night, but I found a motel and I went in. Same thing happened. Well, there was nobody in there waiting for a room. She goes, that's our last room. And as I was walking out, some people came in and I heard them screaming at the clerk as I slithered toward my room. They were screaming at the clerk just like the people had done before, because they got in too late. They made a decision to try to stay the night, and it was just too late. So planning ahead. Anyway, there was a cemetery there. People screaming because they didn't get my room the night before. People screaming on the night after. Listen, here's the thing. I want to go into a little bit of science. This is our first episode. Second episode, we're going to go into it more. But one of the things about this, I want to share it with you. When the sun is in partiality, I want you to look very carefully, especially in the foreground, Patrick. Notice the shadows cast by the sun. All the crescents, those are crescents. Look in front of me. The sun is being blocked. We're already up to about 90% of totality. You don't need to look at the sun, okay? In fact, never look directly at the sun. And if the sun is in partiality, you really should be looking down. You ever seen shadows like that from a tree?
Yeah, I'm well aware that if you look at the sun, what do they say, about 5 seconds and your retina will burn out?
I don't know that, but don't ever do it. Never
Right.
ever do it.
You're
And
right.
like
Absolutely.
you live down in Sauda. You're
Yes,
going to get a partiality. Let's say it's sunny. You don't need to anyway, because go outside and look down. You're going to see
that's
this,
right.
and you've never seen this, and it's really a thrill. And you can also make a little cardboard piece, punch a hole in it, hold it, let the sun shine through it, and the
Yep.
shadow it casts on the ground will be a crescent.
Yep.
And the crescent will start out. The sun will be really big. The shadow will be small. And, we see the moon go through phases, but you don't see the sun go through phases. But you'll see the sun go through a phase here, not by looking at it, not by looking at it. Never look directly at the sun.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Once it goes into full, I was there where I was. There was a gentleman from Russia. There were people from all over the world in this little park. I'd hear somebody talking in some foreign language. I'd ask where they were from. I speak Russian, so there was a Russian guy there. He had a little mount, and he did a video of the eclipse, and he sent it to me electronically. When the sun is totally in eclipse, you can look straight at this. You can look at this. Remember the words, never look directly at the sun. Here, you can't see the sun. You're looking, what you see there is the moon. That's the moon. Now, what's interesting is you look around it, that is not the sun. Remember, it's total eclipse. Total. Okay? You'll know when it's total, because at that last moment, it turns dark. The stars come out. Animals start changing noises. Everything changes. It's in the middle of the afternoon. It's a wonderful experience. What you're looking at there, and what I remember looking, I looked right at it, and I saw the raging corona. That's called the corona of the sun. Fires moving out millions of miles into space. The sun's raging nuclear furnace, sending out the corona that you can't see except during an eclipse. Okay. And so looking at it, I'll never forget. It's almost like I could hear the sound of the nuclear furnace, which of course I couldn't, but it was so powerful, this view. And this gentleman shared it with me. I wanted to tell you that. Okay, so no equipment needed for the partial eclipse. You can make a little cardboard thingy, punch a hole, the shadow that goes out and the light beam that goes to the ground will be a crescent. It'll go through the phase. And let's see, I thought I told where the folks were from that I was around, but he was Russian. He shared that with me. Thank goodness. How you like that picture, Patrick?
That's very interesting.
Now, look at that top line. Never look directly at the sun. Okay. We will talk about viewing safety in coming issues and a lot more details about it. But I want you all to know April 8th, 2024, in the middle of the afternoon, Ohio's really lucky to have this opportunity.
Tom, you had mentioned something, not looking at the sun is one thing. Sometimes we think that our pieces of equipment, like our phones or different cameras, can observe a sun, and I've been under the impression that that's a good way to ruin um, parts of your component parts in your phone and your cameras.
This guy from Russia obviously came all the way from Russia to see this. He mounted his camera. I was watching him. He mounted a special camera, and I don't know what all it had. He knew what he was doing, and the equipment he had a special filter on it. So listen, don't, if you're not an optical expert, photographic expert, or whatever, forget it. The only reason I got this is because I happen to be in the right place at the right time. So, you know what I mean? Don't be doing that. You can get photographs and stuff later. I didn't have one. I drove all the way down there. What I was doing during totality, I wanted to see the corona, and I wanted to see it get dark in the middle of the day and all the stars come out.
Huh, that's pretty good.
It's awesome. And so you don't need all that stuff. Probably where you are, depending on where you view it, there will be people there who can help you and everything like that. But just enjoy during partiality. Look down. If you're in a place like where you are, you're only going to have partiality, but it's still going to be really cool.
Tom, that is a lot of really good information. I know that people can contact you either by telephone or by email or text.
Yes, if you have questions, you can email me, blaine.17@osu.edu. You can phone me, my cell. Be happy to talk to you, but I want you to be on the lookout for these. We're going to be doing it through the year. We're going to be doing it through. I gave you a year in advance. Yeah. Don't say nobody warned you about the eclipse.